you tell me about Rocco SSC's mission?
Our mission began probably 20 years ago. We had a concept that people should see themselves as an environment. And as an environment, we interact with all of our other environments. And so for the past 15 years, we've been working at trying to promote the idea that your actions not only affect you, but they also affect the environments that you interact with. And that's what we've been promoting for the last 15 years.
How does this relate to your composting program?
Composting is critical to this environment, what I refer to as the macro environment. As you're very much aware, climate has been changing for decades now. In the 1980s, we looked like we were moving in the right direction. We had passed some federal laws that implemented new air quality control rules. We eliminated the CFCs, and it looked like we were protecting the ozone, and the country was going to move towards a more environmentally type of a program through manufacturing. Unfortunately, we seem to have missed that. We're trying to bring that back. Composting eliminates methane, and methane is much more potent than CO2, which everyone else is very familiar with. So we introduced composting as a way to take trash out of businesses and prevent it from going into the landfills. By doing that, you can use the compost to replace fertilizer. By replacing the chemical fertilizer, we can eliminate the production of nitrogen, or nitrous oxide actually.
What services do you hope to offer for composting?
What we offer is, most people don't realize that all of the paper that either gets recycled or thrown away, and most of it gets thrown away, and the cardboard boxes end up in the landfill. Actually, the EPA estimates that almost 60% of all of the product in the landfill that comes from an office space is paper-based. So we're collecting the paper and using that so that composting companies can add that to their compost mix.
Are there other types of compost materials?
Yes, one of the primary ones that ASU does is food. And paper is actually a very good additive to the food because it helps keep the odor down, and it helps maintain the mixture so that it can ferment more controlled.
Are there many companies that accept these raw materials?
Unfortunately, no. At this point, there's only one company in the Tempe area that's accepting it for their farms.
Do you plan to convert the raw materials eventually, or would that be something that you would always plan on sourcing to another company?
We're going to continue to source that out to the experts. Composting is a skill, it's a trade.
What do these other companies do with the compost materials?
The composting company we're working with in Tempe actually converts the compost and uses it for their organic farms. Other companies, like the one we work with in Tucson, they sell the compost to organic farmers or actually homeowners that are looking to do small gardens but do not want to use chemicals.
What is your plan for collecting the material?
What we've done is we've set up a system where we use the cleaners, and instead of the cleaners throwing the compost into the trash can, the individuals within the office would take their paper goods and throw it into designated compost bins. And then the cleaners would just take the compost bins and bring them over to something we designed to collect at.
And just to clarify, you plan on staying with the paper product. You do not plan on expanding to the other types of compost?
We don't see any chance of expanding to food because food is difficult to compost in an office space in the sense that it creates a lot of odor, it can draw vermin. So we want to stay away from the food end of it. But eventually we hope that we'll be able to do the brown or the yard trimmings as part of our service.
How receptive have businesses been?
They're very receptive to the idea of composting, just like they were a few years back to being very receptive to recycling. And one of the things that's helped the acceptability of composting is the problem with recycling. Like in the city of Phoenix, they used to recycle. Now they're burning their plastic because they have no place to actually recycle it.
Who do you partner with?
We partner with a couple of companies, one in Tucson and one in Tempe, and all they do is compost.
What can I do to help you with your mission?
One of our issues has been getting our information out in a nice, simple kind of a layout. And we've had a lot of trouble trying to develop the proper kind, I guess you might call it a flyer. We've had a lot of trouble trying to develop a nice, eye-catching flyer that could be part of our website or could be left at potential clients' locations. And so if you could put your creativity to work in that area, that would be really quite appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Lizo.
Well, Alexis, it was a pleasure.
I've been doing some brainstorming and created a list of ideas on what to include in the infographic, like details about the environment and soil stabilization and the greenhouse gases. I'm working on a rapid prototype for the infographic. After our conversation and reviewing your website, this is the content I think should be covered in the infographic. Do you have any suggestions?
I think we should focus too on the benefit of composting versus other forms of greenhouse gas reduction.
For the testing design process step, I'm presenting these prototypes I created based on the first draft version. So, these are 3 different versions of suggestions for the infographic. These first 2 are longer than this last one here, and I think that the length on these is a bit too much for an infographic. You want to keep the audience engaged.
Here, this should be moved up, and in this one you did move it up, and I like it better in this position. Although I'm not too crazy about the swirl around the light, I like the way it is inside the center of this one better than the way it is pictured on this one. But I like its positioning here.
Okay.
We had an area where there was a couple more benefits, and I see on this draft we took them out. I'm just wondering, here where it says methane reduction, and that it's 86 times more, retains 86 times more heat than CO2. I wonder if we should spell that out. Yeah, I like this.
These are the first 2 versions, and could I see that? This page has been changed. Here. There's also background added
this
on the
background is
information.
much better too. But I think maybe we want to restructure some of the wording in those to accent the benefit. Oh, the bullet points are good. That's a much better way of presenting it. Yes, I like this. That's very good.
Like this image could be kept, but maybe cropped.
Okay.
Some of the sizes of things would have to be reduced.
The back side of the page, which is our contact information.
You could do that. It depends if you're handing out the papers or if you're posting them. Because if you're posting them, you can only use one. You know, like a poster, you could
Posting
only
them.
use one side. It won't. You'll never see the back of it.
What do you-
Okay. If it's a flyer that's being handed out, then using both sides is fine.
Okay. I think maybe, I like this one, what you've done here. I think maybe we should just change some of the text around, or at least you can play with it and see if that works better. And then see what we have at that point.
Okay. I'm refining the infographic based on the information I received. Now we're at the implementing stage, and I've created the final draft of the infographic.
Well, that looks really nice, Alexis. Thank you.